Thank you very much for joining us today for this award ceremony. If I could introduce myself, my name is Felicity Kelliher. I'm based in the Southeast Technological University in Ireland, and I'm delighted to be here today to chair this session for the Award for Excellence and Innovation in Management Pedagogy. The award has been developed to showcase impactful pedagogy in the field of business and management from around the world. The awardee has developed an innovative program titled Leading for Better, which is a multi-year leadership strategy acceleration program. It's designed to leverage both design and agile thinking and links individual learning and strategic impact. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to the awardee this year, who is Professor Brian Tjemkes from VU in Amsterdam, who is accepting the award on behalf of the entire development team for the program. Before I hand over to Brian, if I could draw your attention to a call for nominations for 2 IFSAM 2022 awards. The IFSAM Award for Excellence in Societally Relevant Management Scholarship and the IFSAM Award for Excellence in Indigenous Management Scholarship. The deadline for these award nominees is September 15th at midnight CEST or Central European Standard Time, and the online submission details are available at ifsam.org submit 2022 awards. Without further ado, I'd take great pleasure in introducing you to Brian, who will speak to us about the award and about the innovative program within VU. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Felicity, for this kind introduction. And before I share with you some of the insights pertaining to why I think I'm receiving this honor bestowed on me by the IFSAM. I would like to extend my gratitude also to the IFSAM for recognizing this. And Felicity, you made me very happy by stating that it's not just me. There's a whole team behind this program, and I'm happily accepting this also on their behalf. And so for the people attending the session, great to see you. As I understood, I have about 5 slides, and I will try to share with you some of the insights about what we have been working on for a couple of years. And I understood that afterwards there's also time for questions, and I'm also happy to answer any questions you may have about what we did. So no, it doesn't go to the next page. So I think it's important to if you talk about Leading for Better, and as Felicity explained, it's a multi-year executive educational program in-house targeting 450 executives of a multinational enterprise where in total about 25,000 people work. So we're really targeting the upper echelon with this program. And when we think about these programs, we are always guided by 3 aims, which we use to design these programs. And I think it's important to understand why the program is so successful. It's important to understand where we come from. And luckily, I work for a university, and basically our aim is obviously to offer excellent education. But in all our initiatives, we immediately combine it with research. So that's important, and I will give you an example of how we did that. And one of our drivers is engagement. We try to make an impact. And in this particular case, for example, one of the strategic ambitions of the client, ABN AMRO, was to enter into a sustainable transition. So which perfectly fits with the values as a view where we stand for. So we want to have purposeful impact, but we also want to have meaningful learning. And if I need to summarize it Shortly, it's about personalized learning. So we really take care of individuals and their beliefs, their assumptions, their competences, their skills, but always to serve the collective. And at the same time, we use the collective to accelerate individual learning. So that is one principle when we design programs. At the same time, it needs to be flexible and tailored. So at the VU, in all honesty, we don't have off-the-shelf training programs. Every time we are approached, we make a careful assessment with our client, like, okay, what is it that you need? What is it that you want? And how can we create an offer that really fits with your needs and ambitions? And then I think the third bullet there, content-driven, tool-driven, experimentation-driven, is that obviously we have state-of-the-art knowledge, but part of these programs is also to offer participants tools and to bring the program to the context of the organization. And I will give you the examples later. The third main pillar is that we believe in co-creation, and maybe this is unique for a business school. What we try to do is to transfer ownership of the program to the client. Rather than sitting on the program, we involve the client proactively. We co-create everything, design, and even in delivery, we use internal staff members to deliver sessions. So from the beginning up until the end, we do it all together. And ultimately, our goal is to tell the client, look, we designed the program, it's running, it's working. And basically, you have ownership now. And for example, also in the ABN AMRO case, some of the sessions were train-the-trainer sessions, where we educated internal consultants to follow up on the program in the organization without us being involved. And basically to really offer a complete product. So in where we come from, it's about purposeful impact, it's meaningful learning and co-creation. And so how did that look like in the program for which we received this recognition? It's Leading for Better. And essentially it's a learning journey. And here in the figure, you see the basic schematics as we communicate it to participants. And it's important to understand we are targeting 450 executives. We educate them in groups of 50. So in total, we will be running 9 cohorts. And we're now at cohort 7. So essentially, we have 350 executives already participated in the training. And then basically, that is why it's already running for 2-3 years now. And what you can see here is that we visualized the whole program, but basically to simplify it, we go from why, how to now. And the why module, that's the first module, is basically making participants aware of the urgency. In this case, for example, the urgency of the need to deal with sustainability as a financial institute. We give them the basic foundations, for example, fault line thinking or dilemma thinking. And that's very important because we believe that in contemporary educational development, blueprint solutions are not effective anymore. So at an executive level, it's important that people understand that the world is replete with tensions. And as an executive, it is your job to recognize tensions, whether we call them dilemmas or paradoxes, and come up with meaningful solutions. So to give you an example in this particular context, one of the main tensions the ABN AMRO is facing is the one between innovation. As a financial company, they need to innovate, but at the same time, they need to be compliant. All kinds of EU regulations, privacy regulations, all that. So as an organization, how can you innovate and be compliant at the same time? And that is one of the challenges these executives face. And what we do in the program is to give them the tools, the frameworks, the knowledge, how to deal with dilemmas. And interestingly is that we also start in the first Y module with really working on real life dilemmas in the context of their own work. And we do that in small project teams. So we have content, we have tools, we have frameworks, we have application to the context, but we also start with leadership experiments, which is essentially a series of sessions about who do you want to be as a leader individually. And what is interesting is that if we create awareness amongst leaders about who they want to be and how they want to be seen, it basically invites them to become reflective. But interestingly, because it's a modular program, then they can immediately practice in a safe environment what they have learned through real life applications or in sessions where we have coaching and discussion. And for example, in the how module, that's the second module, we have a business simulation. It's a 2.5-day business simulation where teams of executives become responsible for a bank, and they have to make all kinds of decisions under high pressure. And what is interestingly, dilemma thinking, fault line thinking, who am I as a leader? How do I contribute to this team? Under high pressure, it all becomes visible. And then we have a bunch of excellent coaches, internal coaches and external coaches, that immediately provide these people with feedback. Like, okay, are you effective? Yes, why, or no? And then from the business simulation, we go to the final stage, the now stage, and that's where everything comes together. And for example, the teams who have been working on real life dilemmas, they have to present it to the board of ABN AMRO. So the board will be joining the final session. Each team has to present their dilemma and their solution. And then, and this is interesting, the board will say, great project, we will support you in further implementing this project, or the board will say, no, not at this time. And what is fascinating about the program is because we really have a journey that even the project teams that do not get support consider it as a success, because failure means success because it's learning. So what we created is like a really nice program with thought leaders, inspiration, tools, collective tools, individual tools, dilemma thinking, how to become a leader, and then through all kinds of sessions, we bring them towards an end. Just to give you an idea, on average, an executive spends about 90 hours on the program, so it's really intensive, and it takes typically between 3 and 4 months to really run one program. And one of the key learnings here, and I will reflect on that shortly, is that as you can see at the bottom, we don't do this alone. So the VU is the orchestrator, and we deliver some sessions, but we work together with BTS, which is a corporate global leader with regard to game simulation. We work with Headspring, which is an executive coaching company, i.e. business schools and Financial Times. We work together with Fonds Trompenaars, with Phyleon. So we work together with a lot of partners to create an optimal product. So this is in short what it's about, but just to give you an idea, because in life it always sounds so easy. But here you see a timeline, and I will not detail on all the steps, but you can see that from the first phone call up until we were delivering cohort 1, it took almost 18 months. And so we spent almost a year just on designing the program. We had design jams, we talked to potential participants, we talked with internal stakeholders, we built a team, and basically we started off with a couple of slides, and it turned out to be a multi-level, multi-project, multifaceted program, tapping into all these elements, where each partner was asked to contribute their specialty. And obviously for me, it was interesting because basically together with Anne Bouwman, we were orchestrating everything, which was, so this award is just as much for me as for her, because basically we did it together, and Anna is working at the bank. So why is this program, why has it been so successful? Well, I can see here at the bottom, because we used individual and collective learning to reinforce one another with a clear focus on tools, frameworks, and individual support. But also it allowed participants to work on their careers while working on organizational goals. Yeah, so there was also a reinforcing effect. And at the same time, it was about cognition and application. So rather than making decisions in line with dilemma reconciliation, we considered these opposing forces and created a program that is reconciling all these aspirations. Yeah? But it takes a lot of time. We're academics, so I'm showing you here perhaps an awkward plot, but basically, let me put it here, is that throughout the program, we collected extensive surveys in 2020, 21, 22. And typically 250 managers, participants responded. Each of them asked 10 direct reports to respond. So each year we collected about 2,500 surveys or completed questionnaires. And basically with the bank together, we created several professional projects, but also academic research projects. And what makes this project unique is that statistically now, and it's a kind of experimental design, if you would like to know, we can now statistically tell the board of the bank, and you can see it on the right, yes, does the program have an effect? And it does. Because over time, what we see in the various behavioral aspirations which guide the program, that people participating in the training exhibit a positive behavioral change at a later stage. And also for some aspirations, we see that this effect is persistent. For other aspirations, we see that the effect is dissipating. Recommendation, look, we need to create some follow-up for certain people within the organization. But it's beautiful because we are collaborating with the HR analytical department, offering internal recommendations for talent development. And at the same time, we are now working on several academic research projects, which will, hopefully be published in the next year or next 2 years. But you can imagine as an academic how happy I am with this data set. 3 rounds of large data, leaders and the direct reports as part of a kind of experimental design on leadership development. But also with regard to this, we closely collaborate with the ABN AMRO in this, and they are fully supportive of us, and we are fully supportive of them. So 3 minutes, I can make that. To conclude, 2 slides. If I need to summarize it, I think these large programs, it's about behavioral aspirations. You know, what behavioral change do you want to effectuate within a company? And we spent literally hours on that, discussing that and tailoring that. It requires integration. Yeah? So basically, you really need to collaborate with the client intensively, with the partners. You need to make sure that participants can see all the red threads through the program. Yeah, so it took us a lot of time to develop the materials to convey, this is what we're working on. It's customization, you know, it's tailored to the client. It's not off the shelf. Application driven basically means if you do something, it needs to be immediately clear to participants. How can this help me to become a more effective leader? And measurement. So we use our research skills to, well, we created a complete measurement and assessment system, which serves also our interests. And I think these are some highlights which we were able to bring together in this program. 90 minutes left. Well, these are some participant reflections, but they're all positive, and I don't want to hero ourselves, so let's skip those. Some reflections. Decide, are you the chicken or the egg? So for us, this was one of the first endeavors at this scale. And within universities, there's always 2 types of people. People say it cannot be done. And people like me, we just did it. So basically, we started off without support structure internally. We built everything from scratch. And basically, it took a risk to be that entrepreneurial, but it had a huge payoff. And obviously, as in all organizations, now we're successful. everyone wants to join, which is fine. But it's interesting. Are you the chicken or the egg with these projects? You need to make a decision. But embrace the rhythm differentials, like intensively working with corporates. And now we have more of these collaborations. Yeah, they have a completely different rhythm. So yeah, you need to be ready to accommodate that rhythm, because if not, it will not be successful. And that basically means, yeah, on Sunday night, you get an email, tomorrow morning, we want this presentation. Yeah, but I have to teach. Yeah, no problem. We want the presentation. So you need to work with that. And I think most importantly, why is this project successful? The world comprises of many excellent educators, coaches, and experts. So from the start, I decided I don't want to do this alone, because we excel in tools, framework, state-of-the-art knowledge, but maybe in coaching, our skills are not that developed. So from the start, I was looking for external coaching companies to really make sure that the coaching was at the right level. Yeah, so these programs, I think that is part of the future of education. It's not one company doing all, it's multiple companies taking care of what they do best. And I think that is an excellent business model. You can say no, or better must. We said a lot of no to the client, to our partners, you know, like, no, we cannot do this. No, we cannot do that. Even today, I'm now approached by other potential clients and they want me to do something. And then I tell them, look, I'm an academic. This is a great program. We can run it for you. But one, research is part of the deal. So if they don't want research, I say no. If they say, look, we want a quick fix, off-the-shelf fault line module, I say no. It's either the full package or not. Because the success lies in all these elements I just explained in combination. And you cannot just like take one out and say, we want the same result. And most interestingly for me is that apply learning across other programs. So like I'm responsible for an undergraduate program with 1,500 students. The learnings out of this executive program, I apply them also in my undergraduate teaching. So I see it also as a great opportunity to learn, like how can we improve our own education? Because this is what I would call state of the art. This is where education is headed. And now we need to think about how can we implement it in other programs rather than the lecturers, a case analysis, and then a report. So it's about learning. And to conclude, some people literally called me crazy in 2018. What are you doing? This is madness. And now it turns out it's a great model because we are engaging with practice. We are helping companies with having impact positively to the world. At the same time, there is some revenue involved. And interestingly, that revenue now is helping me to appoint PhD students. So basically, I'm using funding using the money to fund more research positions, which is I think perfect and free. In the process, we are collecting beautiful data, otherwise inaccessible to us. And with that, we can make impactful publications. So it's in my view, this way of thinking combines the best of all what we want to do. It's research, it's education, and it's having an impact on society. And that's why I'm really proud on this program.
Thank you so much, Brian, and really insightful on the journey that you've taken to date. Mm-hmm. I'm particularly delighted to see you designing in an impact strategy that's underpinned by data. We should be doing more of that in education in particular, but specifically in management and business, because we are engaging with businesses. But whether we can prove that in a tangible way through an academic lens is less certain without the kind of design that you've put in place here. So particular congratulations to you. If I could open the floor, and if not, I have plenty of questions that are pinging around in my head. Just one moment, there's a question here. So Martin Spring has asked, would you say, what would you say is the central innovation in this approach?
Yeah, it's a fair point, because the award is for excellence and innovation. So yeah, the question is, what is innovation? And so maybe if you take a more down-to-earth approach, obviously this is not a Nobel Prize winning innovation, but there are many innovations. So one for our client, ABN AMRO, this was a radical new approach towards internally organizing leadership development. So typically they would send their executives to Harvard, INSEAD, IMD, do a training course over there, and they would come back, and that was leadership development. So for them, it was like really innovative to say, look, we're going to build an in-house program with multiple partners, which was actually an idea which emerged along the way. Initially, they were looking for one partner, and then they said, no, we want different partners. And for them, this has been highly innovative in all areas. Why it was innovative for us is that from the viewpoint of view, it was almost similar, like building such an extensive leadership program with multiple partners, which obviously gives all kinds of complications. I can honestly say we had a fair share of conflicts, fights, disagreements. You know, it has been all part of the package, but ultimately this co-creation approach resulted in a really excellent program on all elements. And I think if you educationally, pedagogically, where is the innovation? I think we really bring all that we try to do together. Like it's individual learning, collective learning, it's cognitive learning, it's applied learning. It's about what does an individual want to achieve versus what is important for the organization to achieve. So some of these typical dilemmas you see in building and designing education, rather than choosing, we found ways to reconcile those dilemmas and attain both goals on the two sides of the coin. And I think that's where the true innovation lies.
It's really helpful to think about it that way, and that idea of self and other being the pivot of dilemma as well. You know, and you spoke in your presentation about cognition and application. And I think that dilemma of self and other is very interesting as you progress through an organization, as you move up through the ranks. So hugely helpful in us visualizing how we can support executives at different stages of career. Could I ask a question in relation to your completion rate? So these individuals that were selected for, or that agreed to participate in the program, what kind of completion rate have you achieved among those participants?
Yeah, so the first round, yeah, so basically we devised an internal procedure together with the ABN AMRO on like who can participate when, but the goal was all 450. They have just like this pyramid structure. They have top Exco 1 and Exco 2, they call it. If you're Exco 1 or Exco 2, you need to participate. But when was part of discussion. Completion rates is that I think each cohort we started off with 50 people. I think at the end, across all cohorts on average, 47, 48 participants completed. You know, either they left the company. Oh, actually, this is a nice anecdote. I'm not sure whether it should be on recording, but like somewhere in those cohorts, one of the participants came up to me and he said, look, Brian, I love the program, but if this is where our firm is headed, I'm not sure whether I should stay at the firm anymore. I said, look, the program is a success because we made you aware of who you are and where you want to go. So in my view, that is success. And the person completed the program and indeed left the bank. And actually, I talked to the bank about it, and they also concluded afterwards, yeah, this is success. So because that is what we want. We want leaders who become self-aware, who voice their concerns, because these were all the underlying elements, psychological safety, voicing concerns, standing out of the crowd, not being afraid to oppose anyone. No, and that is all was all part embedded in this program. But overall completion rates were high, and obviously at the end everyone got a nice certificate.
Yep, no,
Yeah.
it's a very positive indication of the program's success in context. And yeah, I think as well in terms of analysis under the HR lens, the benefit of that insight in terms of person-organization fit will stand to for credit in relation to the company's ethos in how they manage their HR professionals. We have another question from Javier. To what extent would you say that the challenges the participants were facing were business related versus their own career or personal?
Yeah, so it's in that sense an excellent question, and I think, and this refers also a little bit back to Martin's question about where the innovation is, because the Leading for Better program allowed for both. Yeah, and in different module sessions, we touched upon these two questions. So the own career personal challenges, that was part of what we would call leadership experiments. And that's built on existing methods like immunity to change, building an experiment individually to change your behavior, and obviously that's where, and that is the second point. That's where we had like dedicated coaches with like not the basic educators you would see at universities. No, we had like dedicated expert coaches to help participants deal with their personal challenges and struggles. Side note, nowhere in the program we told executives this is who you should become. That is not what we did. So we didn't tell them, oh, transformational leadership, that's good. That's where you need to go. Authentic leadership. No, you need to become an entrepreneurial leader. That was not part of the program. Basically, we departed always from the point, who do you want to be? How do you want to be seen? Where do you stand now? And how can we help you to get there? So that's very important. And then you need dedicated coaches. So we had those. And at the same time, the business-related challenges, basically the ABN AMRO board, well, each cohort had its own board member champion. And the board member champion would upfront like say, look, these themes are important to me. And then the participants were asked to take that theme and translate it into a viable dilemma. And then throughout the program, they were working on these business-related dilemmas and challenges, coming up with solutions. Important. There's a natural tendency, obviously, to look for solutions in your own area of expertise. And we designed it such that, and you saw that quickly in one of the participants' comments, we forced them to work across the silos. So dilemmas were formulated not like pure innovation. If participants were going there, we say, no, you also have to be compliant. So what we really push them to is to think across their silos, across their functional expertise, engage in conversations with other views within organizations, and use those to make and create better solutions. So I think if the answer to the first question is, it's both. We worked on both in tandem, and then obviously we had designated roles for expert coaches, and we had designated roles for academics, because not all academics are excellent coaches, and not all coaches you can put in front of a room of 50 highly educated executives and then have a great story. So we really had a nice mixture of thought leaders, inspirational speakers, but also like really dedicated experts. And maybe this is a side note, out of the box, in the Netherlands, we have this person, Kadir van Lohuizen. He's a photographer. He traveled all over the planet, and he just made pictures, really cool pictures of places where basically the water is rising. And as such, he made like visible that we really have a problem. And across the world. And then we invited him, and he is this like awkward dude. He doesn't look fashionable. He's just a photographer. And we put him on stage, and he talked for an hour with his photos to these executives in their suits and then you suddenly have a great talk. So that's like really getting them out of their box.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic, a truly worthy recipient for the inaugural award, Brian. But more importantly, I'm really personally, and I've no doubt the management and IFSAM community on a wider level, look forward to reading the publications. And please do write some of the stories of the publication as well. I'm a qualitative researcher, so I'd love to hear the stories and the nuances of everything that you've achieved, and all the detail around co-creation. So there's unfortunately, because I'd stay for much longer with you, Brian, to hear more about the program, and hopefully we will in the future. For now, I wish to thank you on behalf of IFSAM, on behalf of the selection committee of whom I was a member, and on behalf of the wider IFSAM community, for taking time today to present to us. And we're really, truly delighted with your award. Thank you.
All the graduate to you. And as I'm an academic, educator, scholar, and just a person, I love to share this. That's maybe the last. I'm not a business, we create knowledge to be shared, and I think this is part. If we collectively and globally can do a better job in educating these executives to make better decisions, happily so.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Brian, and for everyone who came to the award ceremony. And we look forward to seeing you at the rest of the IFSAM Congress. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.